So here we are with where we left off from the last video and the basic 777 detox that's safe for kids, non-activating and non-mobilizing is taking the bentonite clay baths. That's the most important thing to be doing 3 to 5 times a week. You're taking bentonite clay and activated charcoal orally. You can take 1 to 2 tablespoons of these. It's safe to take more than that with the activated charcoal, but take it with lots of water. You also want to be taking days off. You don't need to be taking these every day, but anytime that you're mobilizing any metals, you should always be having absorbent in your gut, like clay or charcoal. You also want to be taking lots of magnesium from different sources. Now, you want to be adding Epsom salts to your bentonite clay baths or mag chloride flakes to your bentonite clay baths. We actually put Epsom salts in our clay bath product that we sell. And we also sell topical magnesium oil, which is mag chloride. So you can also take oral magnesium, like ionic magnesium, mag chloride, mag citrate. And another biohack that you can do is rectal administration of magnesium chloride or magnesium sulfate. You mix 1 or 2 teaspoons of either one of those with some water, use an oral syringe, and then put a little coconut oil on the end. Lay on your side and administer it. Um, and that's a good way to get your levels up, similar to IV. So if you can get IV magnesium, then that's great. Go ahead and go for that. But for most people, you're not going to be able to do IV magnesium at home. Doing the rectal administration or the raw method is a good way to get the magnesium. So you should always be taking lots of magnesium when you're doing any type of heavy metal detox. You do these 5 things, that'll take you very far. If you have any symptoms of redistribution when you're doing a heavy metal detox, you're taking other stuff, come back to these 5 things and do these things. If you want to see how this detox really works and you want to see if it works for you, take a clay bath every day for a week. Take the bentonite clay and the activated charcoal every day for a week. Take lots of magnesium. Do these 5 things and see how it makes you feel. You should notice, no matter what your issues are, if you have any kind of illness, that doing these 5 things will make you feel better. So this is the basics of the things I recommend. Always come back to these. Now, if you want to get a little more advanced, we have what I call it's the same first 5 things. I think I put them in a slightly different order on accident, but the only things that I would add in addition to these 5 things is then you want to be taking ionic selenium or ionic zinc. You want to be taking both of these. Now, when you're doing mineral replacement, it's going to be vary depending on the type of metal toxicity that you have. I would avoid taking Shilajit as it can contain high levels of heavy metals. Now, you're not wanting to add something that has a lot of heavy metals into it, so I really recommend avoiding this Shilajit stuff. I want to like it, but it can be contaminated, and a lot of it is, in my opinion. Then another thing you can be adding is vitamin E for antioxidant support. I wouldn't be taking much more than what the recommended dosage is. You know, you don't need, this is a fat soluble vitamin, so you need to be careful with fat soluble vitamins, especially that you're not taking mega doses of this stuff. Okay. Now, Lugol's iodine. Now, this is something that I would add. Everybody needs iodine, even people that don't have a thyroid. Everybody needs iodine. It's an essential mineral that most people are deficient in. Lugol's iodine will act as your chelating agent. So if you're wanting to mobilize some metals or you're wanting to get additional metals out, start with 1 to 2 drops of the 2% solution. This chelates heavy metals in a much more controlled way than any kind of chemical chelation agent will. It does get rid of metals. So if you take large doses of this stuff, you can mobilize too many metals. And I tested that out just to see, and I got some redistribution from taking a larger dose of it. So really, you only need 1 to 2 drops of the 2% solution. Even the 2% solution is incredibly strong. You really got to be careful with this Lugol's iodine. It's safe to take. I've used it for years, but you want to be avoiding mega doses of it. So you only take it once or twice a week and watch out for redistribution. See how you react to it, 1 to 2 drops. Um, So when you're taking iodine, always want to be taking an absorbent like the activated charcoal or the bentonite clay, because it does mobilize some metals. You should also be taking the Bass regularly. So this is a good natural chelation agent, much safer than chemical chelation. Fulvic and humic acids, these are really good. Could potentially mobilize metals. I do like these fulvic and humic acids. You can be taking those. I would avoid the shilajit, as I just said. Um, if you are going to insist on taking it to get your minerals, stick with low doses infrequently, like once a week, or once every 2 or 3 weeks, because it's very strong and actually will cause hypermineralization and gout if you take too much. I've read of people getting gout from taking it. They're like, I've been taking this for 6 months every day. Then they get gout. So be careful with the shilajit. I really would avoid it. It's unnecessary in my opinion. If you want to boost your glutathione levels naturally, garlic is a good way to do that. But some people are not going to be able to tolerate garlic. You may be sensitive to garlic or sulfur foods like onions and supplements, and that would include N-acetylcysteine and MSM. So start low with the garlic. You can use garlic in your food, but some people can be sensitive to it, and it can mobilize metals. So somebody that's truly sick, I would avoid the garlic. But if you're really wanting to do additional things in your heavy metal cleanse, add a little garlic and start low. But like I said, you want to only do this once or twice a week when you're mobilizing metals. You don't want to be mobilizing metals every single day. So really stick to doing this infrequently, no more than once or twice a week. Another supplement that I recommend taking is full spectrum CBD distillate. Now, a lot could be said about CBD, but it protects your brain during detox. It can also help with brain inflammation or swelling, which is something that I struggled with when I was going through my mercury poisoning issue. Um, when you're going through a severe neurological issue, um, take the CBD, and you should be taking more of it, not less. A lot of people that don't get benefits from CBD are people that aren't taking enough of it. So I recommend it's safe to take 500 milligrams or more of CBD distillate. So you want to be using the concentrated distillate, and you can make your own oil, buy it in bulk. That's how I do it. I get 100 grams for a good price. And then it lasts me 6 months to a year. So buy it in bulk. Most people aren't taking enough. Another cannabinoid that's worth noting is CBN. CBN makes you feel very calm. It's very serene. It's a good cannabinoid to be taking. But I can make another video on this CBD stuff. But it protects your brain while you're doing any kind of heavy metal detox. Now, also something that shouldn't be overlooked is be eating fermented foods and taking probiotics. Now, I recommend getting your probiotics from natural sources, or things like kefir, things like kombucha. Cabbage water is probably the easiest way to get your probiotics in. To make cabbage water, you just need clean water and cabbage. You chop up the cabbage, you let it soak for a few days, and it ferments on its own. And then you drain the cabbage out and just drink the water. It's an excellent way to get your probiotics, and something that you can do yourself at home. So, additional supplements that you can take when you're wanting to do any kind of detoxing. These are other things I found useful. Is aloe, great for your healing the gut. Don't discount aloe. uh, CoQ10, so enzyme support. Ginger, also really good for nausea, any kind of detox symptoms. If you want to make a good little detox beverage, make some lemon ginger tea. It makes you feel very cleansed. I don't know how to explain it other than to say that it works well. Ginger lemon tea, something that I use when I'm feeling a little bit sick or nauseous. Coconut oil, another good supplement to use, especially if you're dealing with a yeast issue. Cayenne pepper. Cayenne pepper I found to be useful in doing detox stuff. Apple cider vinegar is good for alkalizing your gut. Baking soda is another good one for your gut, healing the gut. Reishi mushrooms, they can be very helpful. Kelp, good natural source of iodine. And it has some other stuff in there too that I recommend. So the kelp is good stuff. Definitely need to be taking some B vitamins. Methyl B12 is a big one. I have read of some studies where the methyl B12 helps the mercury turn into methyl mercury and can get in your system that way. But you need to be taking B vitamins, especially B12. I recommend the sublingual form of the methyl B12. That's the kind that I've had the most benefit out of. Milk thistle, it's good for detoxing the liver. And then we have pectin in here too. I thought it was useful to add. Can be good for helping get metals out of your bladder. So another thing, if you have a aluminum issue specifically, malic acid is a great supplement to be taking. You should start with a low dose, like 200 milligrams, and see how it affects you. It can be very stimulating and powerful. I was taking larger doses than 1 or 200 milligrams, and it did make me feel good. But I was actually having issues with sleeping from it. But if you have an aluminum issue, definitely do some investigating into malic acid. But you should only be doing this with doing the other five things that I'm saying. The five basic things that I'd be doing with taking the baths and the other things, those should always you should always go back to doing those five things when you're taking anything that mobilizes heavy metals. So be careful with the malic acid. I messed with it a little bit, but it does chelate aluminum. Now, Quicksilver Scientific, this guy, Christopher Shade, he is very knowledgeable on a lot of heavy metal detox stuff. He has a lot of very expensive supplements that he sells. One of the products that he sells that I like is this IMD detox product. It's a functionalized silica, and it actually helps pick up uh, mercury in the gut, and it actually picks up a many times more than the dose that you take. But it's also good if you take that with charcoal and clay. And I think he has a product where he gives you a little bit of clay mixed with the IMD. But I would really only take this if you have money and if you're rich and you want to spend a lot of money on supplements. This is a good product, this Quicksilver IMD. But it's unnecessary for most people if you're just taking the charcoal and the clay. But I would say that it's a useful product and I like it. But a lot of the stuff that he recommends could be extremely dangerous and cause redistribution, especially somebody with a mercury issue. So, but this is Quicksilver IMD, is a good product. Chlorella and spirulina and zeolites. These are something that people talk about when talking about heavy metals. Activated charcoal and bentonite clay do a good job of mopping up all the metals in the gut. So really, I find these unnecessary. A lot of these can be contaminated with heavy metals and different stuff from the ocean. So I would avoid the chlorella. It's just unnecessary. The zeolites, these can also be contaminated. And I don't know that they do anything that charcoal and clay can't do on their own. So I find these unnecessary. So also when you're dealing with any kind of heavy metal issue, you can have a co-occurring infection. The most common one is going to be a candida or a yeast overgrowth, especially when you have a mercury or heavy metal issue. The charcoal and the clay will help, but utilizing hydrogen peroxide to combat yeast may be beneficial. You can take small, like a capful of hydrogen peroxide in the morning when your gut is empty, and it'll help deal with that yeast issue. Also, I will say that if you are utilizing the rectal administration of magnesium, that you may find that a couple hours later that you get a good big load of candida out. So that's something I've noticed when I've been taking the magnesium that way, is it does get a big chunk of yeast out every single time that I take it. So candida yeast overgrowth, that's something that's going to be a co-occurring disorder. Also, people can have parasite issues when they're dealing with heavy metals. The primary things that you would take would be wormwood, clove, and these green black walnut hulls. Those are the three primary herbs used to treat parasites. Also, there's a bunch of other stuff you can take for parasites, like papaya seeds and pumpkin seeds. Um, and actually, a whole video needs to be made about doing a parasite cleanse. Some people find ivermectin and fabendazole useful. They can be good for doing a parasite cleanse. But I will say the ivermectin, I think there is some warning there with reproductive issues in men, especially. So I wouldn't just start taking lots of ivermectin without doing the research into it. Febendazole, people are finding that it's actually helping with cancer. So if you have cancer, do some research into febendazole, because people are finding that the febendazole is actually helping to get rid of their cancers. So something to look into. Cleansing, healing the gut, crucial step in effective detoxing. Really, this should probably be done before you get heavy into a heavy metal detox. Aloe, ginger, coconut oil, cayenne pepper, apple cider vinegar with the mother, baking soda, and fermented foods, probiotics are all useful for healing the gut. And of course, killing the parasites in your gut, it would be a good move too. So, healing the gut and dealing with your parasite issue are two good things to be doing in addition to doing the heavy metal detox. Viral infections, that can be another co occurring issue people are dealing with. I myself and my wife both had a really bad case of the Epstein-Barr virus, which is the virus that causes mono. Um, and that was actually the first thing that I got sick with when I started dealing with my chronic illness. Was these chronic viral issues. So I still actually have these viral issues come up from time to time. But elderberry, olive leaf extract, wild Greek oregano oil, black seed oil, moringa, vitamin C, all great for viral infections. So if you're dealing with the viral stuff, these are all things that I recommend to take. Also worth noting is that a vitamin D deficiency is something to be aware of. So some people, if you're having a chronic mystery illness, you may want to look into vitamin D deficiency, because it can be very crippling if you have a chronic issue. So supplementation with vitamin D and cofactors may be crucial in overcoming your mystery or chronic illness. So the main thing that you should be getting from these videos is that you should be taking more bentonite clay baths. So baths are very powerful and safe. They saved my life and I recovered using them. So the baths make you feel phenomenal. You should be taking more baths. And anyway, that's pretty much all I got for this video. So I wanted to keep it short, but these are the supplements that you need to take if you are looking to do a successful heavy metal detox. Anyway, thanks for listening.